Listen, you started.
Oh, we started.
Okay.
These are my two audience members, my sisters.
Okay.
Right.
Ready? You got it.
I'm going to inform you about Jeffrey Dahmer today. Jeffrey Dahmer was a man who lived in the state of Wisconsin and had a very bad childhood that led him to make very bad decisions throughout his life. And I think that Jeffrey Dahmer's early life really impacted the man that he was and led him to be the serial killer that he was. Some of his background, he was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is where we live. So I find that kind of interesting. May 21st, 1960. He was in the military. He was gay. He was an alcoholic. He murdered 17 men in the span of 13 years. He was really smart. His early life, he had surgery for a double hernia when he was 4, and his parents say he was never really the same after that. And later on, when his brother was born, he started to isolate himself. He didn't really talk to anyone. So he had basically no friends growing up. His teenage years, he started to get into necrophilia and murder at the age of 14, which necrophilia is like doing stuff with dead bodies. I think you know what I mean. His parents would fight a lot, which led to his parents getting divorced. He liked to kill small animals, such as a dog, on one occasion. And by the time he was adult, right out of high school, he took his first victim. It was a hitchhiker named Stephen Hicks. He brought him to his parents' house, got him drunk, and strangled him, buried him in his backyard. By that time, his drinking was already out of control. He would visit lots of gay bars to find his victims. He started killing in a lot of like different and weird ways, such as lobotomies, which is like a surgical operation involving incision of the peripheral lobe, which is like your emotion. He would pour acid in there just to completely get rid of it. He would eat his victims. He would mutilate them. He would strangle them, chop them up, and put them in his freezer and take pictures of them. He dropped out of college. He was smart. He probably could have had a bright future, but he dropped out. He was in the army because his father convinced him, and he was discharged. He was arrested on multiple occasions for disorderly conduct and sexual assault. He was arrested for the murders of 17 men, and on an interview with CNN, he said that he wanted to control the men, that he had no hate for them. He just was lonely, and he didn't want them to leave, which is why he gave them lobotomies. He would put acid in their peripheral lobe to get rid of their emotions so they'd be his own personal, like, sex slaves. He ate his victims because he was a cannibal. He felt that when he ate them, they stayed with him, like they became part of him. He knew that he was guilty of all this. He felt guilty. He said it was no one's fault but his. He was sentenced to 957 years in prison. He was killed. He was killed in prison by a fellow inmate on November 28th, 1994. The prisoner said that he killed him because he'd freak everybody out. The prisoners, the security guards, they say he would make his food into limbs, like to resemble limbs, and use ketchup to resemble blood, and leave them at random places for his fellow prisoners to find. He would also make cannibal jokes to officers that seemed like afraid or like on edge when they were near him, like saying things like "I bite." It was all like a joke to him. He was not really. His mental state was already like out of control by then. Now that we've got through that, the potential reasons that I think that he for killing was like him growing up, is always having to hear his parents argue, which lead him to their divorce. He was very lonely. He isolated himself at a very young age and didn't really get any friends after that. He always wanted to be dominant. Like I said, he wanted to control them, he wanted to make them his slaves. And to this day, people don't really know what made him this way, and people might never know. The only thing that people know is that he killed 17 people, and they are just waiting for a reason as to why.